Hey guys, it's Bella, and in this video we are going to be reading the poem and grave inscription of a Goth, and this one is interesting because it shows some of the ways in which Gothic identity was being constructed during the period of Ostrogothic Italy. Because this seems to have been recorded before the reconquest of Italy by Emperor Justinian. It was written in 530 Common Era. So let's start reading it, and again, forgive me if I make mistakes in my Latin enunciation of this poem. Martyris invicti Stephani requiescis in aula, ec data nam meritis iure cordona tuis, terrenas tanto tibi quas dutore parasti, vivus opes subitum mors inimica tullit, luce sed eterna celestia munera carpis, nos tristes curdis vita nefanda premit, gratias agamus beatum martyri quino suscepit. Ic requiescit Marianus vir spectabilis, quem telos getula nutrivit, natus picens, qui vixit annos quinginta et octo menses undecim dies sex. Lampadi et ordestes virorum clarissimorum consulis, depositus in pace Marianus vir spectabilis sub die septem ante idus septembris. So what does this mean? Requiescis in aula, you rest in the hall, martyris invicti Stephani, of the undefeated martyr Stephen. Ec data nam meritis iure corona tuis. This crown was given by law iure on the basis of your merits, meritis tuis, by your merits. Terrenas tanto tibi quas sudore parasti, vivus opes subitum mors inimica tullit. Now these two lines give a little indication of what his profession might have been. So we'll start with these last three lines actually. Subito mors inimica tullit. Suddenly, unfriendly death took away. Now what did it take away? The terrenas opes, the terrestrial feasts, opes. Quas, which is like which, those ones, which, those banquets, the terrestrial banquets, which, vivus, alive, tibi, for yourself, sudore, by your sweat, parasti, you prepared. So it seems to be saying that this guy cooked some elaborate feasts for himself. So he may have been a cook, whoever is buried here. Luces et eterna celestia munera carpis. But you seize carpis, like in Carpe Diem. Celestia munera, the celestial services. Luce eterna, in eternal light. So it's saying, death took your services, the services, of cooking these banquets away, but you're enjoying the celestial services. Nos tristes, curdis vita nefanda premit. Accursed life oppresses us, the wretched, sad ones, curdis, with burdens. Gratias agamus, beato martyri, qui nos suscepit. We give thanks to the blessed martyr who received us, who took us up. And then, so that's the poem part of it, and then it goes on to a prose section explaining what's going on. Ic requiescit Mauryanas vir spectabilis. Here, Marianas, the noteworthy man, lives, quem delos getula nutrivit, whom the Gothic soil suckled or, wet nursed. So this is implying that Marianus would have been an immigrant who was sort of raised in a Gothic country. This is not saying that he's of Gothic ancestry. This is saying he was raised in a Gothic country and brought in to Italy, because we know that this was found in Rome. And the fact that it was written in 530 Common Era means that Mouryanas was probably one of the older generations of Goths which had come in with King Theodoric's army. So we're looking at one of the first Goths to settle Italy, really. Telos Getula nutrivit, natus picens. born as Pichens. So presumably this is his Gothic name. It's not really a Latin name. And I sort of have a theory that this might be some kind of corrupted form of picans, meaning like poking. We have the word picabarums, meaning a sort of goodness, I think it's a palm tree because of the spiky fronds. And so pecans could be from like a sort of lost Gothic word pecans, meaning poker, maybe just a sort of tentative suggestion on my part. So this guy Marianas, that's his Latin name, and his Gothic name might have been Poker. Um, people often had Gothic and Latin names at this time, but it's interesting also that it says natus Pichens. He was born as Pichens, but here he rests as the noteworthy man Marianus. He rests in death with his Gothic name, but he was born with a different name. This is basically a dead name, Natus Pichens, or just Pichens. Qui vixit, who lived annos uh, quinquaginta atque octo, 58 years, menses undecem for 11 months, dies sex for 6 days. Lampade tordesis viurorum claris immortem consulis, with Lampades and Orestes, the distinguished men as consuls, depositus in pace Marianus vir respectabilis. Marianus, the noteworthy man, was laid to rest in peace, in pace, sub die septem, under the 7th day, ante idus septembris, before the Ides of September. So, there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really interesting seeing in this poem how the Ostrogoths are constructing their identity. And I actually think you can't, I suppose, see it in this video because we're only looking at the one poem. But it's interesting that when Gothic ancestry is mentioned in Visigothic epitaphs, such as, for instance, the tomb of Cinteric, they actually mention Gothic bloodlines and Gothic parentage and ancestry rather than being raised in the Gothic soil. And I wonder if this is a function of the different timescales involved in with sort of the family ties in Ostrogothic Italy versus Visigothic Spain, respectively, because in Visigothic Spain they were there for many, many more generations. King Theodoric, founded the Ostrogothic government in Italy in 489 Common Era, and the last Visigothic king was defeated, I believe, in 553 Common Era. So that's how many years? It's about 64 years, so you've got about 3 generations perhaps. And you had many historical figures such as Cassiodorus who lived from the beginning of the Ostrogothic period and saw the end of it, you could very easily have some of the initial warriors who King Theodoric brought in with him falling in the final battle or even surviving the final battle and living in Justinian's reconquered Italy. So the point being that the way that the Goths construct their identity in that context, where at most you had you were 3 generations removed from the incoming Ostrogoths, maybe 3 or 4 generations, because generations were a bit shorter back then. You were like 3, 4, 5 generations at maximum removed from the initial invading Goths or reconquering Goths. So saying that so and so is Gothic because they were raised on Gothic soil makes more sense as an identifier. Whereas for the Visigoths, when very soon after, 100 years, none of them would have been born outside of Spain, which is why they refer to Spain, of course, as the patria, as the fatherland. And so, in order to assert a Gothic identity, they have to say, well, it's my bloodline, it's my ancestry, this is what makes me Gothic. Whereas the Ostrogoths can just say, well, I was born in a Gothic country, or perhaps if they're a generation removed, my father was born in a Gothic country, etc. So there we go. Very interesting stuff that we've got here. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want me to teach you Latin or Gothic or any of the other languages I do on this channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon, which will be linked on the main page of my channel. Feel free to join my Discord server where we often do free Latin lessons and we have lots of free resources. As usual with the video, like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!